like unrelated, but like, you know when you have dreams where it's like so out of pocket? I woke up from this dream and I'm literally having a whole crisis all of today because suddenly I'm like, is this what it feels like to be in love? Like, oh my gosh, that was so crazy. I thought I was walking down the street today like smiling and giggling to myself because of this man and bro doesn't even exist. Anyway, I feel like I make an annual version of this video because I feel like my life looks so different every single year. Let me check actually how many books I've read so far this year. Okay, so far I've read 80 books. Reading is like one thing that I genuinely will never compromise in my life because it's like the one thing that I love more than anything else on the entire planet. Today in this video, I just have like 4 things for myself that it's so effective to me. These are genuinely like the most practical things that I do every single day. And I've read 80 books so far this year while I was going to school full time, working several jobs, paying my rent, all this kind of stuff. I genuinely think that if you just follow these 4 tips slash life hacks, I'm not saying that all of them are like the healthiest, but if your goal is simply to read more books, then this is what I would do. So I'm not saying that I condone neglect. I mean, you'll see. This is just like what's worked for me. I've made other versions of this before. Those ones were all while I was an undergrad, but my life has shifted immensely. I am a full-time master's grad school student at the University of Toronto. I'm studying speech language pathology. And if you don't know what that is and you don't know what the coursework is like for that, it is a lot of work. A lot of work. Way more than undergrad. I pretty much have class from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday, but then 3 p.m. until like the evening, probably until like after dinner, it's like the homework, like work to do after class. Like, and I kid you not, from like last week to probably the end of the semester, I have had like a midterm per week. It is just gonna be like that until the end of the semester. And then on top of that, I work, I do research, and I have another job, and I do YouTube. And then on top of that, I'm a very social person. So I put in a lot of effort to going out with people, meeting people, like going to lunch, dinner plans, all this kind of stuff. So there's not a lot of hours per week to spare because I also will not compromise my sleep. So scheduling reading is like something that simply will not work for me, and it hasn't worked for me even in undergrad because there is just not enough like hours to block off in the week to do that. So I think that for me it is quite unrealistic. So if it is unrealistic for you, then these are the 4 things that I think are actually realistic. That's how I get probably all of my reading in. The number 1 thing that I will say, and I actually do say this in all my videos because I think it is like the common denominator, like if you don't have this, then nothing else is gonna work in my opinion. You need to actually read the books that you actually want to read. And I say this and I feel like people like listen but they're like not hearing me, which is that if you don't want to read your book, you're not gonna read it. And this sounds like it would be intuitive, but it is not, because people are elitist about the books that they read. People want to seem like smart, so they don't want to read like the books that they actually find to be fun. Like if you do find those books fun, that's great, love that for you. But my point is that you need to find books that you genuinely are like thinking about when it's not there. Okay, luckily for me it's been easy. I love books all my life. Like I always say to people, like reading books like should not be a chore. It is like watching Netflix to me. Like I open up my Kindle, it's like doo-doo. That's what it feels like to me. And that's why all of these other tips also work, is because I have intrinsic motivation to read. Like I want to do it. Like when I'm not doing it, when I'm doing work, I'm like, I would so much rather be reading than doing this. And like with YouTube and Netflix, I'm like, oh, like there's nothing good to watch because I would rather read my book. I feel like it might also be a personality thing because I just like have an obsessive personality where like if I get hooked onto a book or something, like I literally can't eat, can't sleep, can't breathe. I'm just thinking about wanting to read that book so badly. And if you don't feel that way about your books, then you're not reading the right books, because I think that everyone has the potential. You need to just find the books that you will become obsessed with. People think it's not possible, but I swear to God, I have like had a 100% success rate with putting my friends who aren't readers onto books that they're actually obsessed with. Like I'll tell them, you need to read this book, you need to read this book. They're not reading it. One day, okay, I get the text every single time. They go, Sunny, I'm obsessed. Like I know what you're talking about now. And they'll send me a picture and it's the book that I recommended to them years ago. So like, I feel like, yeah. You think you can't get obsessed with a book, you can, okay? I promise you that you can. There's no point in reading a book that you don't want to read. I know that it sounds like intuitive, but like there's so many people out here who are forcing themselves to read books that they genuinely don't want to read or are not obsessed with them. What's the point then? Just so you can say you've read it and try to look smart? Like that's not worth it to me. The bottom line is you have to beat FFR and find the books that you are gonna be obsessed with. I don't care what that makes you look like. Who cares? You need to just have the Kelsey brother vibes of like explaining the Twilight movie series, you know what I mean? Underneath that main overarching PSA, these are the 3 actually practical things that genuinely are life hacks that I will gatekeep to everybody except for you guys who have clicked on this video. The first one is the biggest game changer of all time, and I know that some people are in denial, okay? They're in a river in Egypt about wanting to do this. I swear to God, I will actually stand by this. This is the hill that I will die on. You have to, okay? Read books on your phone so that you can read while you're going piss girl on the toilet. I know. I already hear the comments being like, but I just prefer physical books. I can't read a book unless it's a physical book. I respect that, and I love that for you. But I do genuinely still think that if you read books on your phone, you'll read way more. Personally, I'm like a really low maintenance reader. I pretty much read the majority of my books on my crusty, dusty iPad that was like 12 years old. Until I got a Kindle, I read all the books on my Kindle. Why? Because it's cheaper. And I think this makes you read books a lot more as well. But more than that, you need your phone. Because what does everyone do when they go piss girl in the bathroom, okay? You go on your phone. You scroll through Instagram, you scroll through TikTok, your legs start going numb because you lose track of the time that you're spending. Think about all the time that you spend in your day doing that. If you put that time towards reading, you're actually gonna read so much. I'm not even joking. Like, just have a bathroom book, but it has to be on your phone because ain't nobody trying to maneuver, trying to bring a physical book, especially if it's a public washroom. You're not gonna bring a physical book with you in there. The only thing that you bring to the bathroom is your phone. The second you get onto that toilet, girl, you pull out your phone and you start reading your bathroom book. I promise you're gonna end up finishing that bathroom book. Everyone needs to go to the bathroom. You're gonna finish your bathroom book whether you like it or not, okay? And that's one book that you're gonna have done. So yeah, I'm the biggest advocate for reading on your phone when you're going piss girl. I read on iBooks on my phone, but you can go on Kindle, Kobo, Amazon Books. It's so easy to get books on your phone. I don't care that you don't physically turn the page. I don't care that you don't get to look like Rory Gilmore sitting on a park bench reading her book in Stars Hollow. It's about reading the books. If you are a full-time student working several jobs with no free time at all, this is how you read your books. Okay, think about if you watch like 12 10-second TikToks, okay? That is like probably an underestimation, but that's like 2 minutes. 2 minutes is like 2 or 3 pages. I mean, depends on your reading speed, but that could be like 2 or 3 pages of a book. That adds up over time. You're gonna finish the book. The next one is kind of in the same vein. Again, you have to get used to reading books that's not physical books. Read on your laptop during class. Or are you staring at me? Disapproving. Same way that I had a bathroom book, I also had a class book. Not saying that this is good for your grades, okay? That's not what this video is about. The second I started getting bored during class, I would pull up iBooks on my laptop and start reading during class. And all you see is me sitting there with my one finger on the right arrow key to turn the page. And it was a great time. Did it bite me in the booty hole afterwards? Maybe. But did I still pass and graduate with flying colors? Yes. And did I have a more fun time during boring class? Yes. Again, sorry to burst your bubble about wanting to carry physical books in class and be the mysterious girl reading books. All you hoes need to get used to reading ebooks. Read books on your laptop. You're gonna quickly realize that the common theme is that since there's not enough time to schedule reading, you have to steal time, okay? That's what you have to do, and that's what these tips are about. I'm on my laptop several hours a day because I'm in class. I'm on my phone several hours a day because it's my phone. If you have books on there that you can read, you can literally read whenever you want. The fourth tip that I have, this one is probably actually where I get the majority of my reading done, like all in one go. I mean, I say it in every single video and people say it all the time, but it's actually because it works. And I can sympathize with all of the folks who are like, they just can't vibe with audiobooks. It's kind of an acquired taste and it takes an adjustment period, but I genuinely wholeheartedly do think that everybody can adjust if they want it bad enough. So if you don't know what audiobooks are basically books that are read out loud by an audiobook narrator and you listen to it. So it's like someone is reading to you. I also used to be someone who didn't vibe with audiobooks, but like I said, if you want it bad enough, okay, if you're desperate enough, desperate times call for desperate measures, then you can and you will adjust to audiobooks. Audiobooks are the real game changer because I live in the city. I walk literally everywhere. I probably walk for like 20 to 40 minutes at a time just to get to one place. I'm not trying to drop money to take public transportation when I don't have to because I'm under crippling student debt. Those are probably the longest periods of free time, which is so sad. For me, the time that I also listen to audiobooks is when I go to the gym. And I go to the gym for an hour and a half, several times a week. That is like a lot of hours. Like I could just have a gym book. I have a gym book, a class book, and I have a bathroom book. I feel like I'm in a perpetual rotation, having like an audiobook phase, then a podcast phase and then just like a music phase. Whenever I get too bored of two of them, then I'll go to the third one. Right now I've been in my audiobook vibe because I feel like I've listened to all of my music and there's no new music to listen to. I'm getting bored of it. And then same with podcasts, and when I get bored of audiobooks, I'm gonna go back to listening to podcasts or listening to music. And so that's why reading never feels like a chore, because if I don't want to do it, then I just won't do it and it's fine. Maybe I just won't read as much that week, and that's fine by me too. Those are like the 4 most practical things that I can say. If you guys know me, you know my channel, then you guys know that I get like so deeply obsessed with books. It is not effortful at all for me to want to read, and I think until you have that intrinsic motivation, nothing is gonna happen. You're not gonna read, and that's fine too. I mean, you guys know this. It's like really strange to me how reading as a hobby is like put on a pedestal when it's literally just like entertainment. I feel like it's a hobby, like the same way that maybe watching movies for people is a hobby. I just don't mess with the academia elitist vibes. So maybe that is actually the secret. That is all I had to say in this video. If you guys have any other like specific practical tips that you guys do that I haven't talked about, maybe I'll benefit from it. So comment it down below. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and follow me on my socials. They're all linked in the description. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye, good fortune, Toby.